During the Old Kingdom, the ruler of Egypt held a unique position. He was a living god, walking the earth with the absolute authority of the divine. The state claimed this earthly deity controlled the cosmos. His daily rituals maintained natural order, kept the sun moving across the sky, and ensured the annual flooding of the Nile that watered the nation's crops. This photograph shows the Great Sphinx and Pyramids of Giza. The massive stone blocks and towering scale of these monuments were engineered to project one specific idea. The pharaoh's power was eternal, infallible, and impossible to challenge. Yet a glaring contradiction sits in the historical record. If the pharaohs wielded total cosmic power, how did so many of them die at the hands of their own subjects? Looking at this mummified profile of Ramesses III, modern medical imaging reveals a brutal physical reality. Beneath the ancient bandages, CT scans show a deep, fatal cut straight across his throat, severing the trachea and major blood vessels. Ramesses III was a victim of a coordinated assassination, and he was far from the only one. Pharaohs like Teti and Amenemhat I were also butchered by their own guards and officials. The gleaming, towering image of the divine king served as an elaborate propaganda shield. Behind it lay a cutthroat reality defined by palace paranoia, bitter rivalries, and calculated coups. The vulnerability of the pharaoh was baked right into the system, starting with the Ipet-Nesut, or the royal harem. This was a sprawling, heavily populated parallel political institution with its own vast administration and guards. Royal polygamy created a dangerous structural flaw. Secondary wives fiercely competed for influence, often forming factions to elevate their own sons over the officially designated heir. This abstract diagram illustrates the theological loophole used to justify regicide. As a king aged, his physical and magical vitality was thought to wane. Conspirators compared this decline to the myth of Osiris, the divine king who was betrayed and murdered when his power faded. Assassins frequently timed their strikes right before the Sed festival, a jubilee ritual meant to renew the aging king's strength. They hit him at the exact moment his magical protection was considered critically low. These murders were calculated political strikes that exploited the state's own mythological rules to justify taking the crown. The Harem Conspiracy against Ramesses III provides a heavily documented case study in how to assassinate a living god. This photograph shows the thick stone columns of the Medinet Habu ruins. The royal palace was a massive, heavily fortified compound, meaning the threat had to come from the inside. Queen Tiye, a secondary wife, coordinated the earthly logistics. She compromised the internal harem guards, enlisted royal scribes, and recruited military commanders, all to place her son, Prince Pentawere, on the throne. Physical weapons were paired with state-sanctioned magic. The conspirators stole restricted scrolls from the House of Life to craft paralyzing wax dolls, intending to neutralize the palace guards with dark sorcery. A successful coup required a two-front war, breaching the heavy physical doors of the palace, while simultaneously dismantling the magical wards protecting the king. The conspirators succeeded in slitting Ramesses III's throat, but the coup itself failed. His rightful heir, Ramesses IV, secured the throne and crushed the rebellion. The new regime faced an immediate existential crisis. Publicly acknowledging that a living god had been murdered would break Ma'at, the fundamental order and balance of the universe. To handle this, the state convened a tribunal, recorded in the Judicial Papyrus of Turin. This bureaucratic document allowed the government to legally prosecute the assassins while carefully sanitizing the details of the regicide. The state deployed its ultimate weapon, Damnatio Memoriae, the total deletion of a traitor from the historical and spiritual record. Clerks initiated the Names of Infamy protocol, altering their names into curses. Ra loves him became Ra hates him, denying the conspirator Kis forever. Workers carried out the physical execution of this sentence, literally chiseling away the identities and faces of the conspirators from stone monuments across the country. Universal order was firmly re-established through ritual. The murdered king was elevated to rule the underworld as of Cyrus, while the new king assumed the earthly mantle of Horus. The true marvel of ancient Egypt lay in the resilience of its political machine. When faced with the murder of its own gods, the system survived by simply rewriting reality.